quickly, I want to go back to this thing. We touched on it before the show, but this whole like UFC versus boxing thing is happening again.
Oh, I hate it.
So on the women's side, Nunes.
I hate it. It's two different sports, two different fighting techniques. Just keep them by themselves. I hate it. You don't see football and basketball players coming together. Yeah. Playing. You don't see soccer and football coming together. Right. You know what I mean? I hate it. Just stick to your representatives. Your respective.
I think it's for money.
It's definitely for money, but I just think you're going to keep constantly. You're hurting the sport more than anything. Instead of putting a big matchup within your sport.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, if you guys haven't heard the news, Amanda Nunes is arguably the pound-for-pound greatest women's UFC fighter ever. She just won this weekend.
Forget about what's her name that was before her.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey. And she was just on the UFC 245, got a unanimous decision victory, which was surprising because their fights don't go the distance. And then Claressa Shields was there, or she recorded a video and she posted on Instagram. And Claressa is the pound-for-pound #1 women's boxer. And she basically said that she'd be willing to fight her in the ring or the cage. The reason that this is a thing is because women's boxers don't make nearly as much money as UFC fighters with Dana White, especially the women.
Of course not.
So it would definitely be that appeal. What I would actually like to see is another boxer in the cage.
I don't think that's fair.
You think Claressa would get rocked?
Easily, yeah. But this is the thing.
In the ring.
In the ring, if you go to the ring, I think Claressa would easily win.
Yeah, easily. Because even though Amanda is arguably the GOAT, and obviously MMA is mixed martial arts, it's different from Conor because Conor had a boxing background, so he at least had
some technique.
Yeah. Amanda just learned how to start striking. Her main thing was grappling.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like it, and that's why I don't think it's a great thing, because you're having two different fighters from two different sports that I think if it was Claressa Shields in the octagon, I think she would be rocked.
Well,
But I think if it was the other way around, where Claressa Shields in the ring, I think Claressa would win easily, without even worrying about it, without even breaking a sweat.
Women's boxing is dying.
It is.
I thought Claressa and Christina fighting would help because of their names and how much they.
Christina fought? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I kind of lost track of her too.
Yeah.
But again, they had those sponsorships and those deals, so I thought it would make a difference. It didn't. And Claressa, I don't think would even be entertaining this if it did, because if she was making the right type of money in women's boxing, she wouldn't be talking about this. And even with the Showtime deal, like, it goes to show you, like, how much. Money is just a factor. Women's sports, women combat sports in general. So I think for the women's side, this would be different than if it was in the men's. You know what I mean? Because I think with the men's, it was more so a spectacle, especially with the way they promoted it. My God, there was zero filters on their mics when they were talking to each other with Floyd and Conor.
But that's the thing, that was promoted everywhere. I couldn't even get on social media without seeing that.
But here's the difference when it comes to women's, like UFC and boxing. The sport of women's fighting needs this. More so than the men's needed Floyd and Conor. They didn't need it at all, actually.
But this is the thing, though.
Boxing needed it, I think, a little bit more.
But this is the thing, though, when it comes to issues like this, right?
Yeah.
If you take the Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're a boxing fan, or whether if you're not a boxing fan, or if you're not an MMA fan, you still know who those people were.
Yeah.
You tell somebody, a random person off the street, who's Claressa Shields, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A lot of people know it from the Olympics. So
it's not like Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor.
Well, of course, but she's known. Trust me. A lot of people.
But what I'm saying, it's not the same thing like Floyd Mayweather.
No question. Yeah, no question.
And Conor McGregor.
Yeah, it's not even close.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even when it comes to UFC, with what's her name?
Nunes.
Nunes. Yeah. I can guarantee you people are not going to know who she is unless you're a fan of the UFC.
Yeah.
And people who are fans,
at least in America,
at least in the States, yeah.
Because Ronda Rousey, the reason she blew up is because she was American. Nunes, is from Brazil, and her English is kind of broken.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the thing we mentioned about like soccer with Arsenal and Unai Emery. Why he got fired? It was
the communication.
Yeah, that.
I for me, it's just I don't think this fight, the hype around this fight, is going to be that big. Enough for them to make a dent into the issue. I personally don't think there's gonna be. I don't think there's gonna be.
If it's in the cage, I think it can be. I think if it's in a boxing ring, you're absolutely right. Because I don't think this will generate any money if it's in a boxing ring.
No, in a cage is different.
In a cage is different.
Yeah. Because you're gonna see two girls go at each other in the cage.
Well, not only that,
and, that's the thing is, I don't mean to sound it in the wrong way, but that's how people are gonna look at it.
It's not only that, but it's the fact Claressa Shields is undefeated in the boxing world. And she's looked dominant in a lot of her fights.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like with Floyd. You remember a lot of people, especially towards the later stages of career, a lot of people tuned into Floyd fights
because he's defending.
No, not only that, but they wanted to watch him lose that undefeated card because they just hated him. They weren't watching him because they were entertained by his running around the ring and being a great defensive fighter, which I give him credit for, and I don't knock him for that. But this would be different. I think it being in a cage would be different. Would be worth it. But if it's in the ring, and I think it was really smart of Claressa to come out and say that she'd be willing to fight her in a cage, because I think that's the only way you generate money.
Because in the boxing, nobody's gonna watch the
boxing fight.
You know what I mean?
Nobody's gonna watch.
When it comes to UFC, I've definitely, when it comes to like events, I've definitely seen more people watching UFC, women UFC, more than boxing UFC.
And especially we got to bring up like Conor and Floyd's popularity at the time when they made it happen. I mean, they were just like a million times more popular than Nunes and Shields, like you mentioned, on top of that. So,
well, that's the other thing. What I'm saying is just like the.
But again, the women's fighting needs it. It needs it in a cage. I'd be for it.
I mean, I'm for it too, sure, but at the same time, it's just like I don't know if it's worth it. I think what they need to do is promote bigger fights within their own sport.
It's not going to work. It's not working.
I mean, I don't know.
Claressa Shields is the only draw women's boxing. Not the only draw, but the only money draw women's boxing have. And it ain't even making that much. So she got to do something. And here's the thing. Here's why I'm a little bit more excited. Because Claressa, on that same video that I mentioned, she also mentioned the fact that she wants to, spend months or up to a year of training. Because she said, I don't want to go. If we do wind up having the fight in the cage, I don't want people to say that I lost because she doesn't know how to kick, or she doesn't know how to grapple, or she doesn't know how to wrestle, or things like that. I want to have been trained. I want to have looked good. I want to have looked good at tapes. I want people to have seen me in my sparring and my training session look good at fighting MMA, at least from a sparring standpoint or training standpoint, so that when we get in the ring, people don't use that as an excuse. I like that coming from her. I like that. It was kind of how Conor sold the fact that he had his boxing background. And he was like, we'll have it in a boxing ring. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Even though you knew it was a disadvantage for Conor. But he didn't hold back from it. The same thing I'm seeing from Claressa. That's why I think this could work, at least money-wise. And again,
money-wise, sure, but I still don't think. I think after this fight's done, I think the hype will go away. I think we'll be back in the same situation.
Obviously, but it'll be worth it for Claressa. Just money-wise.
Money-wise, yeah.
Because she's done a lot.
Again, it comes back to me. I just think they need better promotion within their thing. I said the same thing about the Mayweather and Conor McGregor fight. I didn't like that either. I don't like when those two sports get involved with each other. It's obviously a disadvantage. You have one person training their whole life to fight MMA style. You have another person training their whole life to fight boxing style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like having me run up against Usain Bolt. It's like, it's not fair. I've ran before. This is not as good as him.
You clearly smoke.
Oh, yeah, 100%. The 2-inch dash.
The 2-inch dash. I like that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Quick first step, man. Oh, man.
Float like a butterfly, sink like Titanic.
On that note, we got to head on out, ladies and gents.